Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is for those with the moon in Virgo, and I can talk a lot about that because I happen to have this placement. So Virgo is a mutable earth sign that is ruled by Mercury, and this is also the ruler of Gemini. So there's that same kind of intellectual, analytical approach towards life or the emotions specifically. But with Virgo being an earth sign, there's always this gravitation towards anything of a practical nature. So when Virgo people are doing anything, whether it's going to see a movie, reading, hobbies, dealing with other people, they tend to want to make sure that there's some constructive purpose to whatever it is that they're doing. And this is on the emotional level because of that earth connection. Let's review what the moon represents. The moon represents our emotional nature, which is instinctive, which is reactionary. When we're talking about our sun's influence, we're talking about those things that we do with a sense of intention that we set out to do. So the obvious example would be fulfilling goals. The emotional nature is more about reacting to stimuli provided from the environment, and we're being triggered by past memories, by past experiences. And so I talk about the shadow aspects of the sign when I'm talking about the moon sign more than I would what we would call the more, we could call it the more positive or easier traits of that particular sign. And so let's look at it from the moon in Virgo perspective. Virgo is a sign associated with perfectionism. And if we look at it positively, and maybe like with the sun sign particularly, it may express itself as someone who likes to do a good job. With the moon position, this will be true as well, but there can be that perfectionism that becomes OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, and the person can become rather consumed by the idea that they cannot make a mistake. Sometimes because the moon represents the mother or the whoever was the nurturer in your life growing up, that person may have Virgo tendencies. And so you may have been criticized too much growing up, and that makes you hard on yourself and feeling like it's the end of the world if you make a mistake. And with the moon position, it's triggering those feelings of inadequacy, of not being good enough, and of not being competent enough. And so moon and Virgo people can harbor some feelings of insecurity, and self-consciousness is also a big one. And it can, in some cases, make them very shy and maybe leery about putting themselves out there in the world and going out on a limb. Anything which can invite criticism can be like really threatening to somebody with a moon in Virgo. And this is something that these people have to conquer in their lives. I think about myself, and if I were someone in my teens or 20s or even maybe 30s doing this YouTube thing, could I have done it? Would I have melted like a little snowflake? And I don't know. I really can't say because first of all, I've had a very good run of things overall. my ratio of positive remarks to criticism has been really wonderful. And I know there are some people who have it a lot worse. And so, I mean, I'm constantly in awe of the people who are able to withstand criticism in all walks of life, actually. And that comes from inner confidence, okay? This is one of the things that Virgo, Moon and Virgo people tend to lack. Now, this may be modified if the sun is in a fire sign, especially, well, my sun is in Sagittarius, a fire sign, but let's say Leo, let's say Aries. That may make the person a lot more bold and a lot less afraid of what other people are going to say to them. But the thing that I want to really bring out with this particular sign is that Moon and Virgo people tend to be caring in their own way. And this can be another area that gets threatened for them because Earth signs in general tend to be very practical about everything, including their emotions and the events that unfold in life, whether happening to them or to other people. And so if somebody comes up to a Moon and Virgo person and says, this, that, and the other thing happened to me, the Moon and Virgo person will tend to analyze the situation and tend to offer advice. And the person who is going through the crisis may accuse the Moon and Virgo person of not caring, of just being in their heads about it. And that is so not true. A Moon and Virgo person is very caring. However, they want to be constructive. They want to help. Virgo rules the 6th house of service in astrology. So whether it's a sun in Virgo, Venus in Virgo, Moon in Virgo, these people want to be of service to others. And they feel that the best way they can do it is to look at problems as things to solve and as a challenge to solve, okay? So wallowing in someone's, melodrama is not how Virgos roll. And actually, I think that that is a good way to proceed. I don't think that we really help people by saying, oh my God, that's so terrible that happened to you. It really reinforces the negativity of whatever is happening to that person. And it seems to me that the more we can allow people to maybe express themselves about what's going on, but not reinforcing that it's the end of the world, I think it's actually a good thing. But this is a pattern that can develop specifically in romantic relationships where people are constantly sharing with their partner their life situations. So if a Moon and Virgo person happens to be with somebody who is, let's say they're a Leo, or let's say they're even like a Cancer, which is very compatible, they may say, you don't care enough about my situation or about me. Because a Moon and Virgo person is not going to be sappy usually. Now, for instance, I can cry at Hallmark cards if I'm in the right frame of mind. But the idea of just being kind of like overly sentimental and saying things that are very mushy, that is something that I would probably not do, or I'd feel kind of like a bit reluctant to go there. And other moon signs and sun signs may do things differently, and they may be very effusive and heap affectionate words upon their partner and feel kind of slighted when the person doesn't return that same kind of those kind words. And that would be sad because the Moon in Virgo individual is a very devoted person in their own way. They may be more efficient than romantic, but if you're in tune with where they're at emotionally, what their personality traits are like, you can understand this and appreciate them for who they are and not who you want them to be. And if you are a Moon in Virgo person, please don't get upset if someone accuses you of not caring enough. That's on them. And they may be a drama queen, or they may not be the right emotional fit for you because they obviously don't appreciate the fact that you really are caring in the way that you demonstrate it. So Moon in Virgo people tend to be worrywarts at times and very high-strung. And this is because of that Mercury influence, the fact that they're a mutable sign. And as the moon position, when you have that mutability, it can cause changeability. The Mercury influence can cause a lot of thinking, maybe too much thinking, where the person's like, what if this happens? And then they're off on some tangent of some travesty that may never happen. And oftentimes I think that Moon in Virgo people have had to deal with anxiety their whole lives in some way. I was just thinking about this, thinking of myself, and growing up, all the phobias, all the, the things that were constantly a part of my psyche. And I think this also has to do with Chiron, Saturn, these kinds of things. If you have plants in the 12th house, that can certainly affect things as well. Now, the 12th house is ruled by Pisces, and this is the opposite house of Virgo. So the 12th house rules mental health, and the 6th house rules physical health. And so a lot of times with these polar opposites, with these different signs, they tend to have certain themes. So with the Virgo Pisces opposition, it's the attitude of service to others. And with Virgo, it's on the practical level. Can I buy you something from the store? Can I make you dinner? What do you need? And it's some kind of a thing that you're doing for somebody that helps them, like some kind of a chore, some task. With Pisces, with the moon in Pisces, or some, important inner planet in Pisces, it can be a spiritual sacrifice. So I think it's important for Moon and Virgo people to choose wisely their partner, because you want somebody who's in tune with themselves, where they would know that you are a gem, that you are someone to cherish. And I also want people with the Moon in Virgo to really look at how perfectionism becomes a tyrannical force in a person's life. You have to let go of the need to be perfect and just chill. And it's easier said than done, but it's almost like disturbing when a Virgo person finds out they've made a mistake, emotionally, disturbing. But also, this is important too, the critical spirit, the shadow of Virgo as being a critical spirit. Criticism is associated with Virgo. And of course, we can turn that criticism on ourselves and, beat ourselves up for what we said. Oh, why did I say that? Why did I do that? That is something that I have certainly said to myself. But it's also directed towards other people. Now, this is not done to be cruel. This is very important to understand. Moon and Virgo people, they naturally see flaws. And they're not even, I would say, negative people. They just are great proofreaders. They are very adept at seeing small details. And so flaws sometimes can be not so obvious to the naked eye. And it's only when you start to analyze or look deeper, look closer, that you see, oh yeah, they misspelled this word. Okay. The problem becomes when you allow criticism of others to alienate yourself from them. When you decide that someone is too imperfect for you to date. And really, sometimes this is a projection of your own lack of self-acceptance. We know this to be the case, that some people criticize as a projection of self-hatred, non-acceptance of self, self-rejection. And some people do it in order to avoid intimacy. And they can find fault with everyone they meet, and then they can act like, well, nobody's good enough for me. But really, it's that they have a deep fear of being in a close relationship. Sometimes it can be because they want to be free, especially if they have a fire sign or air sign, sun sign, and possible Venus sign that naturally compel them towards this. But also because Virgo is a sign of the hermit in the major arcana of the Tarot, and Virgo people are very good at being alone. And so it's not like a lot of times the Moon and Virgo person feels this emotional sense of lack in any way. They can tend to be by themselves and not feel the need to connect with somebody emotionally at all times. And so that can lead to this kind of justification of it by being too critical and not accepting people as they are. And everyone has talents. Everyone has their own ways in which they shine. And we have to be very careful about criticism because when you criticize the wrong person, it can really devastate them. Some people who are very self-actualized, any criticism that they do receive, they actually turn into something positive. They use criticism as a springboard to greater success. But some people, they're already struggling with low self-esteem, and criticism in a very, in-your-face kind of way can be not good for them, not constructive. And so I'm very careful nowadays about what I say and how I criticize. And if I criticize, if I point out that somebody used their wrong, THEIR, possessive. The point is we're all imperfect in our own ways. And that shouldn't be something that another person exploits or highlights as if we are just our flaws. We're not our flaws. But I say that to you, Virgo. Heal from your own tendencies towards self-criticism. And the other thing, speaking of healing, is that Moon and Virgos are the natural health food fanatics. This is because Virgo rules the 6th house of health, and I would say vegetarianism and natural health, natural healing, and herbalism And so, I mean, you should see my bookshelf. But the moon itself is connected to health. So you put the two together with the Virgo, and you've got somebody who's probably got, let me tell you some of the things in my cupboard right now. Untoasted sesame oil for oil pulling and moisturizer. I have colloidal silver, all kinds of organic herbal teas. These kinds of things are what, and don't get me started on my refrigerator. All kinds of organic things, vegan products, vegetarian. And also I do have some vegetarian products, maybe even like organic sour cream. But it's going to be natural, usually. There's always this push towards drugless therapies and alternative healing. So anyway, I could go on and on about that, but I hope that you enjoyed this. And if you like this style that I do with I'm analyzing things, check out my natal chart interpretations, which is a type of reading I do on my website, rainandmoonastrology.com. The link is below, and thank you for listening. Bye.